snap.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Youth Ministry Booster Podcast. This is part 2 of hanging out with our friend, Dr. David Odom, Professor of Student Ministry here at New Orleans Baptist Theological Seminary, or NOBITS. We
That's right.
We call it NOBITS. We're familiar enough now.
Yes. Yes.
I do love, we got a lot of acronyms in our world. And so
We definitely do.
It's just nice to shorten it for, it's the Kevin from The Office thing. Why use many words when few words
Come
do
on.
good? Yeah.
That's exactly. That's Southern Baptist life.
That's right. Just this the stock chart of ideas and naming things. Yeah. Dr. Odom, we talked in the first session a little bit about the history of youth ministry, where we've come from, some of the tenets that hold up the roles and responsibilities of both the youth minister and the youth ministry, the ways in which it moved from being maybe outside of the church as a revival, as a movement, as a campus club, as a culture, into a mainstay, into the programming and feature of what the church offers the family, offers the community.
Right.
But then we talked a little bit how that maybe doesn't always be the right thing, doesn't always fit, doesn't always work. Maybe for a lot of our listeners, we feel it not working. And so we want to talk some today in this conversation about what the future of youth ministry might be, some of the research that you've done to that end, and some of the imagination that you might give to broaden the ways in which we think about the role of youth ministry in forming the faith of young people. But before we do that, I want us to imagine ahead, to look back again. What is something that you think from your work with youth ministry, of being a youth minister yourself and training youth ministers across the country, what's something in like 10 to 15 years we're going to look back and laugh on? Like what's the thing that like we say chubby bunny right now, we're like, I know, I get it, or,
Sure.
or a t-shirt wall, right? How many of us had a t-shirt quilt wall of all the camp shirts that we did and stuff? But like,
Right.
what's the thing that you're going to think like, oh man, when we look back, it's going to be something.
Well, I don't know. It's probably tech related stuff. I mean, I think.
How many screen games do we need?
Well, all those kinds of things. And I think of the QR codes. We got QR codes everywhere,
oh,
right?
My gosh.
And just it's all on our signage and our bulletin boards. QR codes on the screens.
Yes.
And so, I don't know what it'll be, but surely it'll be something different.
Oh my gosh. If I could go back in time, I would have invested in 3 things. Zoom.
Okay, yes.
On-cloud tennis shoes, because I had no idea. Like literally 2019, they didn't exist.
Right.
After COVID, it's all every person over 40 wears. Yeah.
Right.
And then QR codes. Like they had to have been around before, but only at like the most techie, nerdy silos.
Right.
And now they're on the back of every chair in church.
It's everywhere. Right. So I think we're going to kind of look back and think, what's that black and white dot stuff over
Why are we
here?
taking pictures of the backs of things? Like, just taking
Sure.
pictures of tags. It's odd, right? Let's go ahead and admit it's odd. Yes, it's quick, it's easy, but for most of the time, just shortening the URL does a lot of the work.
You would
I
think,
don't know.
yeah.
I always like it when it's the QR code, when your phone's already like on a YouTube ad, when they have a QR code sometimes, or it's like, well, how am I supposed to?
I'm already there. I'm already on my phone.
How am I supposed to scan? How am I supposed to scan that?
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Crazy times. Leave a drop in the comments what you think it might be. If it's, I think it's trivia games. I think we've done it, guys, girls. We've played all the trivia.
All the screen games.
We've done all the
stuff.
screen trivia games. We've done
okay.
it. We've done the we eliminate an answer. Like, listen, they're not running reruns of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire anymore. Right. You don't have to run reruns of the trivia game that you got 2 years ago that you're really proud of. I get
Sure.
it. So it's so fun. But because they're always like tied to like a random theme. They're
Definitely.
like, hey guys, it's birthday Wednesday. Somebody has a birthday. Let's look at these historical birthdays.
That's right.
Because that's
or
not,
celebrities.
Well, because they missed that's not what's fun. The fun isn't the actual factoid. The fun is watching the kid you didn't think was going to win.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you got to have stakes. Like, it's
that's
not
really good.
Like, the facts aren't what's interesting about trivia games. It's the stakes. It's when the girls beat the boys, or when the 6th grader beat the 11th grader.
Oh man,
that's the actual sauce of what's going on.
That's excitement time.
It doesn't really matter that like Lincoln had a secretary named Kennedy and Kennedy had a secretary named Lincoln. Like I get it. Like, for the history buff kid, or you.
Yes. So a lot of us, are there. We're like all in on that, but most are not. No, come on. No, that's fun.
Well, I do want to ask. So we talked a little bit last episode, but even before this recording session, about teenagers today. And I think I want to start there because when we talk about youth ministry, we're always imagining it from a context. So some of the things that we talked about in the deconstruction of youth ministry maybe are things that have grown over context, and they've either calcified or they become ingrained or rooted in a way that have kind of superseded a generation of students. And if what we're doing is deconstructing to rebuild, to reconstruct, we need to take seriously the students that are in front of us.
Right.
So I just wanted to ask you, from your research, your opinion, your work in ministry, are kids today different? Is the 15-year-old in 2026 different than 86 or 96?
Right. That's a good question. And so I think the short answer is yes and no. And so I think there's two ways to think about it. That we think about it developmentally when we think in terms of our teenagers are moving from childhood to adulthood, which is something that's universal since the beginning of time, versus generational.
Okay.
And so there's two parts there. So let's talk about the developmental piece. So I think that there are elements of what we do in our interactions with students that are the same things that you and I dealt with during adolescence. As we're thinking about who we are, our identity, we're thinking about purpose, we're coming to terms with what we believe and our faith, and these are kind of universal themes.
Will I inherit the belief structure or values of my family?
Okay, there you go.
Universal questions.
All of those things, and I think that those are still applicable to students today. I think that the difference comes in when we recognize that our students are navigating and asking those questions in a different culture, in a different environment. And that's where we get to the generational differences of what we have been talking about, Gen Z, and now we've got Gen Alpha, who are now part of our youth groups as well. And I think it's important for us to understand some of the nuance and see some of those differences of navigating some of those big questions in a new culture.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's one of the reasons why folks get so excited about some of the generational research.
Right.
Is it allows them to ask some of those questions anew, fresh.
Right.
What does it mean to be 14 today? I mean, I think that was so much conversation around millennials into Gen Z into Gen Alpha now. What are the forces at work? What are the modes of communication? What are the ways in which they find or make or create identity? And so I think that's one of the things when we talk about what youth ministry is, it always does feel like it's both what has been and it is what it needs to be, because it needs to be responsive. And so I guess that's some of the work I want to ask you about. Is you wrote in the book about the importance of constructing something differently. And so if we're going to do the right work of youth ministry, of not just trying to run whatever we have in front of us into the ground or into perpetuity, but we want to be faithful to serve the students that are in front of us, what are some of the actionable things that we should be about? I think you wrote about some things related to metrics that we kind of talked about last time, but then also environments, but just the research and findings from your arenas study, and then what that yielded for how youth ministry might need to operate.
Great. Well, let's talk about it. So I think there is a shift that we can make, that it's not necessarily throwing everything out or feeling like I've got to start from scratch, but a real shift in our perspective. And so I talk about the arenas of youth ministry, 3 arenas, and the 3 arenas are teenagers in the youth group, our traditional view of youth ministry. The second is teenagers and families, and so that's that parent connection piece.
The parent ministry question everybody's trying to answer.
That we're all trying to answer, exactly. And then the third arena is teenagers in the congregation and connecting teenagers to the overall church. And so, I'd love to talk a little bit about each of those.
Well, I think that the first one, teenagers in the youth group, is probably the one we'll start with and we'll come back to, because that's the one that feels like the obvious thing. Like this is the arena that maybe I have the most control. If you're leading in the youth ministry, volunteer, part-time, full-time, you're planning the youth ministry calendar. You're maybe deciding the teaching plan. You may be the one in front of them teaching or preaching, or distributing small group materials, or picking the camp T-shirt, or where we go to camp, or a mission trip. Like, you have a lot of choice, a lot of agency in this arena, but that doesn't always give all the indicators for the students that live in that arena. So in that arena of students within their youth ministry, their youth group, which you still are advocating for, what are some of the ways in which it must be in the future moving forward?
Okay. I just want to continue to call us back to relational ministry, right? Uh, Relational ministry has been a part of youth ministry, from the beginning, but I
It is the
think
tool. That's the
it
tool we
is the
have.
tool,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
But what happens oftentimes is though that we may default back to some of the more of the attractional,
Okay.
programming, and we sort of begin to plan our calendar and operate our ministry from event to event, and we can begin to think that all that I'm doing in ministry is event planning.
Yeah.
And if I'm doing a lot of that, then I may be missing opportunities for me to re-engage, relationally with students. And so I want to do all I can to as a leader
Yeah.
to develop relationships with my students, but then also challenging my volunteers with their relationships.
Yeah.
For example, when we're inviting an adult to come and facilitate a small group and teach us a Sunday school, a Bible study, oftentimes we're talking to them about curriculum
Yeah.
and when it starts and what we want to do,
What we're covering.
all
Yeah,
these
yeah.
things. But oftentimes we don't talk about the desire that we would have for them to build relationship with those students, that will require them to have time outside
Yeah.
of the hour of Bible study,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That will require them to develop some connection with and interaction with those students. And so that's, again, just a small tweak, but it's an opportunity for me to emphasize relationships over some of these other elements.
Well, but that makes so much sense when you think about how often people answer how are things going, and they talk about what they have planned
Right.
or what they're going to teach. It's all manners and mode of execution and delivery.
Mm.
We're going to do this, and here's how they're going to get it. And I think that in some ways seeps into the other leaders in the ministry, and maybe even other staff or folks
Right.
that I want you to get through these questions. Like, I have given you
Yes.
a list of questions. I need you to get through these in the
Right.
time allotted.
Right.
That's success. That's good execution and delivery.
Right.
But what you're offering is that maybe we don't get to most of the questions, if any of them, if what is happening is the relationship is strengthening in a way
Yes.
that actually carries more meaning than just content. 'Cause
Right.
I do worry that we have in the fear of effectiveness, and we'll talk about this next time even more. We've defaulted to content because we can provide that, which is very draining of spiritual authority. 'Cause
Okay,
it's my
right.
effort. Yeah.
Yes. Well, and certainly we want our leaders to be prepared and
Yeah.
ready to facilitate that. But I also want
Have
to
biblical discussion. Yeah.
have those discussions, but I also want to empower them to say that these relationships matter. And when we think about the long-term impact and what our students are going to retain, they're going to remember those connection points
Yeah.
and that point that my leader cared enough for me. They asked me about what
Yeah.
I was going through in my family. They
Yeah.
prayed with me when I lost my grandparent. All these kind of things that are relational
Yeah.
and that are going to have lasting impact. I think that it's also important because in our day and age when our students are connected through social media, for example,
Yeah.
there is a sense of of connectedness through
Yeah.
social media, but I think it's a misnomer, right?
Mhm.
Because the statistics are telling us about our generation today that they're feeling more isolated,
Yeah.
and they're feeling that sense of isolation, even being the connected generation that they are
Yeah.
digitally. And so when you and I, focus once again on relationships, it helps combat perhaps that feeling of isolation that many students are feeling.
Well, and again, I think that the veneer, right, the glossy layer of we thought they were all connected, but it didn't feel meaningful,
Right.
is actually the thing that youth ministry is combating against.
Yeah.
Is the reason that youth ministry is stronger, powerful, is it's a place to be known in a place that doesn't offer that in a lot of other means and technologies and modes. Like this is like the superpower is the ways in which you can actually be known while you're here.
Yeah.
The good news is that we actually love and see you for you.
Definitely.
And you don't have to perform or you don't have to be something that you're not. And these leaders that love you like become the actual like rungs or coat rack that like the ideas hang on. Like I think
That's
so
right.
many folks are like, if I just teach them all the stuff, they'll know it. And then I just want to ask, how much of calculus do you remember? Right? Because
Right.
if you were in upper level math in high school or physics or chemistry, pick your poison.
Yeah.
Like you learned all the content too, but if it didn't live anywhere or attach to anything, it was just quiz 7
Yeah.
in October, and it wasn't actually like the meaningful thing. And the
Yeah.
relationship is the scaffolding or the coat rack where the stuff hangs. That's what your
Yeah.
leaders are there for, is to be a way to understand as much as they are the conduit for understanding.
Yeah,
So,
that's so good. They're so good. And I think there's 2 axioms that I think relate to this part of the conversation that I try to convey to my students, youth ministry students here at seminary, is that the first is that true discipleship can only take place in the context of relationships.
Yeah.
And so when we're talking about discipleship and we look at the New Testament example of Christ, what we see when Jesus is calling his disciples to follow me, he's inviting them into a relationship with him,
yeah.
right? And so that call to follow me is relational. And the relationships that we are building with our students are so key and foundational. The second is similar, is to just remember that we teach a lot of things. We teach God's word, we teach the Bible, we teach theology, we're using the curriculum, but we need to remember that the leader is the lesson. The individual, you as the pastor, as the youth minister, your volunteers, as they are teaching those lessons, they need to recognize that our students are looking for them to embody that and for them to see evidence of life change in them. That oftentimes when you and I are teaching about patience, we may read the scripture, study the passages, but if they don't see us being patient with them or our own kids or being short with other leaders, what's the real thing that's being communicated? So I think all of these things are the relational piece that we can give renewed emphasis to.
That's good. All right, take us to arena number 2.
Okay.
For listeners of the podcast, they know that Chad and I have studied some of this, written about this, but the parent ministry question.
Right.
How does youth ministry get outside the walls of what we have planned into the home? Parents are the primary disciple makers of their teenagers.
Right.
Agree, disagree, in what ways can we improve? All the research that we've done says that nobody feels like they're killing it, crushing it.
Sure. Right.
And yet also nobody really has the secret sauce to fix it. But
Right.
it matters, and
Right.
you've named it as such. And I think imagining our work as such also matters. Like youth ministry can't just start and stop at the open and close of what we have on campus of the church. Far
Right.
too limited.
Right.
And yet parents sometimes are more or less accessible for a number of reasons. And so how do we do youth ministry in that arena well moving forward?
Yeah. Well, it's a great question. And it's the question, I think, for us as we think about youth ministry. We've got to continue to address the parent issue. And the reality is that as the greatest influence on the life of the student, we've got to be willing to engage in some way and to acknowledge that it's not easy, to acknowledge that it's hard. But I don't want to back away from or shy away from something just because it's hard. I think I want to find a way to engage with moms and dads in any way possible, because I believe that as a leader that their influence matters significantly. So I want to influence the influencer, right?
Yeah.
I want to be that person sort of speaking into their life, encouraging in any way I can. So let's talk about a couple of things. I think for me, what it means and what the 3 arenas do for me as a youth pastor, as a youth leader on a weekly basis, is just helping me sort of change my mindset a little bit in my daily routine.
Okay.
That I'm setting aside time in my week to set aside prep for the next sermon or the teaching or the planning for camp. That all needs to take place, but I have to carve out time in my schedule to say, what text can I send to a parent? What lunch meetings can I set up?
Yeah.
What opportunities can I have to connect with a mom or dad at a ball practice where the kid's on the field, but mom or dad are in the stands, and I can go and hang out with them. So I just have to be intentional about those things and realize that I've got to say, I'm going to dedicate Tuesday afternoon or Thursday morning, whatever it is, to say, okay, I want to examine this parent piece, and what can I be doing
Yeah.
strategically in that space?
Well, and that language of intention, I think, is so important because not once did I hear you say we should plan a parent class,
Oh, okay,
or
right.
should we offer a seminar, or we
Right.
should add one more thing to do,
No.
like we're so prone to do.
Right. Right.
And it's not that you may not have those things, but your
Sure.
first steps of action, your first, insight of wisdom is the ways in which we are positioned alongside them
Coming
instead of
alongside.
creating opportunities for them. And I think that's,
Right.
again, everybody's busy.
Sure.
Everybody's busy. Nobody has a lot more time to give.
Yeah.
So how do we make much of the time we have? And that's intentionality.
Well, and we do those things because we're trying to do things in one shot. We're saying, okay, if I have a meeting and I get them all in the same room, I can convey some message or whatever that is, right? And there's going to be various degrees of success there. What I'm just going to lean back on, as much as I'm emphasizing the relational aspect in student ministry, is the relational aspect that I have with those parents, those moms and dads, whether they're a part of my church or outside of the church. I need to know them and get to know them.
Yeah.
And so it's less about me planning some gathering for them and more about developing those relationships. But I have to say, I remember as a seminary student, when our professors would talk about parent ministry and they would talk about these things, even that we're talking about now, but I would hear or think to myself is that means I need to have a parent meeting once a quarter, right?
Well,
to tell
good
moms
business.
and dads.
That's good business.
Yeah, I just want to I want to let them know what I'm planning to do with their kids, right? That's not what we're talking about.
Yeah.
In fact, one of the things I like to share, if we think practically, this is just an example that may connect with some of your listeners, but it's an opportunity for me to think beyond my own ministry context to the broader church. For example, if I'm thinking about parent ministry, I want to realize that in my church, regardless of the size of the church, there are adult Sunday school classes that the members of those adult Sunday school classes are the parents of teenagers in my youth group.
Yeah.
So I should be more intentional in developing a relationship with those Bible study leaders.
Yeah.
That I can view, there's a sense in which I can view their Sunday school class, those Bible study class for adults, as extensions of my own ministry and them as extensions of youth ministry workers. Because what are they doing? They're discipling, they're teaching, they have those adults in the room already. And so I just want to make strides and efforts to make connections there.
Yeah. Again, at 26, I did not do this, but at 40, we're trying to figure out how to, and that's showing up in the places they're already at.
There you go.
The adult life group, Sunday school, D groups, like there's gatherings of parents that are parenting, not all of the students in the ministry,
right,
but a chunk of them
right,
that meet regularly, like offer to share instead of a full meeting, an update. Stop by, bring donuts to that group. That's another group that needs you, that you need to know.
Exactly.
And it's one of the things that we cannot dismiss because we didn't see it or we didn't make enough time for it because we focus so much on Arena 1.
Right.
We miss the opportunities of Arena 2.
There you go.
And I think that's where, like, some of the work that's not being done fruitfully just hasn't been imagined fully.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
And just one other thing I might mention is that I need to think maybe more strategically in the way in which I'm planning events for my students, things that we would traditionally be only for teenagers, that I could think maybe creatively about those being family-centered events, right? That I could think in terms of, rather than it only being youth bowling night or whatever kind of lame kind of thing, laser tag, that it could be a parent thing, right? It could be a parent and student thing or a family thing. That rather than every year it's youth mission trip, maybe every other year or every third year it's family mission trip, and you're calling families to come together and serve together.
That's so good.
So it's just thinking about what I'm doing now, but thinking about it a little bit differently and thinking about ways in which I can make those intentional connections to parents.
Yeah. Well, I would just want to add that one note because you said it about laser tag and about even serving through trips. Most of what we have planned when we do plan things for parent ministry is not fun.
Okay.
These are parents of teenagers, and if you're planning an environment where they don't have to be around their teenager, like, yes, that is fun, but what's even more fun is getting to do teenage things without your teenager.
Okay,
Like
that's so
having
good.
parent laser tag night or parent bowling night, I'm in.
Right.
Like as the
Come
parent of a
on.
5th grader,
Come on.
like if we're gonna have this meeting anyway, let's have it over pizza in the bowling
Right.
alley with the pins crashing, and then we can go back to playing.
Yes.
Because most of what's true of students, especially now that student ministry has aged into the zennials,
Okay,
that
there
are
you
now
go.
parenting teenagers.
Right.
So folks my age, a little bit older, is that we all have a youth group experience.
Exactly.
And part of the draw of youth ministry is I want my kids to have what I had,
Right.
which is that social connection that's spiritually rooted. Like I want
Right.
my kids to have friends that love Jesus and a place that's safe for them to ask questions and be known.
Yeah.
But that's true for me too.
Yeah.
And to do parent ministry like a business meeting and not like a bunko meeting is it's a missed opportunity.
Right. It's a missed opportunity. Right.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
No, it's opportunities
Low-hanging
for
fruit.
So it's things like we're gonna have a parent gathering, and it's axe throwing.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And the highest score on axe throwing, the free trip to camp or something like that.
Have
Those
the
kind of
parents-
things.
The parents competing for scholarship.
Yeah,
Dr. Odom.
right, come on.
I mean,
Come on.
patent pending. I mean, that love.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Oh my gosh.
There
Yeah.
it is. There, it's just right there.
Just dads showing up.
That's right.
That are like, man, money's a little tighter,
Uh-huh,
but I
uh-huh.
can win an arm wrestling match.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Excellent. We're going with it.
Let's do it.
Youth Ministry Arena 3, the
Yes.
whole church. Now, this is one that probably has been ink spilled on before, whether it was some of the predecessors that wrote about the one-eared Mickey Mouse.
Sure.
Church within a church.
Right.
There are some other cautionary tales of youth ministry becoming its own thing,
Right.
either living on the church parasitically or devoid of any kind of symbiosis. Like this is like the youth ministry only feeds and serves itself at the blessing and mercy of the larger mother church. But like, how do we do that right in 26 and beyond? How do we do that right in an era where everybody feels tired and youth ministry feels defeated? How do I look at, like, I don't have near enough students that I want to have, and our big plan is to be involved with the big church that may or may not feel like our speed. Like, what do we do?
Right. Well, all of those are valid concerns and the realities of ministry today. And I certainly, I want to, as a leader, be willing to address each of those and try to navigate that. But I think that big picture wise, I think our problem is that, generally speaking, we do a pretty good job of leading teenagers to fall in love with the youth group, but they're not necessarily falling in love with the church. And for them to, develop lifelong faith and be a part of a congregation and a faith community for the rest of their lives, they need to develop those connections now.
Yeah.
And so I just have to, again, carve out time in my week to think strategically about ways in which I can develop and help my students with those connections. And primarily here, I'm thinking of service, right? So I'm not talking about a new program or more time or doing more. I'm just helping my students be aware of the ways in which they can serve on a regular weekly basis in our church and in our community and on mission around the world. And what I've found with my research is that service is the primary means in which we help students connect to the church.
Yeah.
And for them to move from it just being a place I attend or it's that church down the street to it's my church.
It's mine.
It's my church. And that's what we want. And so I'm helping my teenagers make those connections. And what I'm doing as a pastor, as a minister, is saying, okay, what are areas of my church where students are not serving, where they may or not necessarily feel welcome at the moment?
Yeah.
So what relationships do I need to develop to say, are there opportunities for some of your volunteers to apprentice or mentor some of my students who have interest in those areas?
Oh, the best Sunday ever at our church is when we have like the kids and students help out at like greeting. When the greeting team is not just the two older people at the door, but a 4th grader and a 14-year-old.
Come on.
It's like, oh, this is who we are. And that's way too small to miss. Like there's some of these that are like, it's just a matter of thinking them through what could be and imagining, and then also relinquishing, I think, some of the control of like, well, I need them where I need them. Like one of the hard ones to hear is, man, you have a really great vocalist in the youth worship band. Maybe she should sing or audition to sing with the whole church. And
Okay.
maybe you don't get her as part of what y'all are doing,
Right.
because it's pretty awesome to have Kelly sing with the whole
with
group,
the whole
And
congregation.
So, like that's
Right.
like, so it's youth ministry isn't it's we're farming up and not holding back.
Come on,
And I
exactly.
think it matters. And so-
Yeah, and making those tough calls. And I think that we do some of this in youth ministry already when we have youth Sundays,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
those kind
yeah,
of things.
yeah.
But we
Whether
want
those are token celebrations or not,
token
hard to say.
celebrations,
Hard to
right.
say. Yeah.
yeah, and some
Youth Sunday, where some of the older ladies left because the drums were on stage.
Okay, the drums were on stage, right? And and the sermon was 10 minutes
Yeah,
because
yeah,
they kind of whatever.
See, if they would have stayed for that, it would have been
Okay,
real nice.
I mean, come on, right? That would have been
should have
we-
led with that.
We
Yeah.
would have beat the Methodists to
That's right.
the cafeteria.
That's
But
right.
I think what we want to do is move from it being just once a year to it being ongoing
Yeah,
opportunities,
yeah.
right? And for me to be thinking strategically about ways in which students can serve within the youth group and serve in the church, and that'd be a big piece of that. And similar to what I was talking about earlier about opportunities for moms and dads to be interacting together, is that I want to be intentional about leading my students to participate and engage in meaningful ways within the church congregation as well, where we're having, for example, maybe a serve day that the church is promoting primarily perhaps to adults,
Yeah.
right? But I would want to bring my students and say, okay, yeah, we're going to be connecting and we're going to be a part of that, and we're serving alongside church members, adults, not outside of the youth ministry. Yeah.
Okay, I want to bring it back to the first one.
Okay.
Because this is a little bit of our segue that we'll get into the next episode.
Yeah.
Our next part. If we're thinking a lot about parents and we're thinking a lot about the rest of the church, inevitably we have less time to think about what is inside the arena of youth ministry.
Right.
If this is all taken to be true, is it going to feel like we're going to offer less there to offer more in other places?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's a valid concern. I think that for me, I want to carve out that time and realize that, okay, yeah, I'm taking away, but it's an opportunity for me to re-engage and refocus in a different way, that it's less about taking or subtracting time away from my planning or my involvement with students, as much as it is sort of building those bridges to these other areas that I know are going to have great and lasting impact.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
That's good. That's good. Well, we're going to pick it up a little bit more in part 3, but we wanted to end this time a little bit fun.
Yeah.
With a game of Keep It, Kill It.
Okay, let's
So
hear it.
in the spirit of youth ministry games,
Right.
I'm going to read a list of things, and then you're just going to say whether you want to keep it, which means, yeah, in some version of it, it should stick around in youth ministry.
Right.
Let's not abandon it yet, or kill it. Let's probably get rid of it. Like, let's just
Okay.
go ahead and, yes, there's probably a way that we could salvage it, but it's just easier if we get rid of it.
I'm with you.
Are you
I'm
ready?
with you.
Are you
Okay,
ready? Okay.
yeah.
All right. Dr. Odom on the speed round. Here we go. Keep it, kill it. Number 1, lock-ins.
Kill it.
Okay.
Okay.
Dodgeball.
Keep it.
Okay. Cheap pizza.
Oh, you got to keep it.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Camp T-shirts.
Keep it.
Okay. Sunday school.
Keep it.
Okay. Wednesday night youth.
Keep it.
Okay. Church softball league.
Oh, wow. Okay, man. I don't know. There's opportunity for engagement relationally. So I'm going to keep it.
Oh, keep it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Youth band.
Yeah, keep it.
Okay. Fall retreat.
Keep it. Yeah.
Okay. And then last one, student leadership team.
Student leadership team. Yeah, definitely keep it.
Keep it.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Lean into that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Great.
Well, Dr. Odom, thank you so much for hanging out. We'll be back for part 3 next week when we talk about how in the heck we could make all this change and still keep our sanity too. Until then, we'll see you next time.